Come back to Gauteng, still in the health space. The department in the province vowing to pay outstanding salaries to nurses. Over 50 newly qualified nurses have not been paid. But nursing union Denosa is still skeptical, saying it will believe it once it's done. It also says the department should not be praised for doing its job. At the same time, the union is continuing action against looming retrenchments. Let's get more reaction now with Simphiwe Gada of Denosa. He's joining us now here in the studio. Mr. Gada, thank you very much for your patience and time. I think your mic is now up to go, ready to go. Apologies for that earlier glitch. So I started by asking you earlier, in my intro, I talk about 50 newly qualified nurses who have not been paid. But yes, is this the number that you as Denosa know?
Well, that's not quite the correct number because this is a combination of two cohorts, the post-community service nurses and the community service nurses that began now in March to do their community service. So the last number we had, because we're also collecting, the names of these unpaid nurses, was around 68. So we have been interacting with the department to say, these are the names that we have and you must pay them.
Okay, so these 68 are the ones that are going to be paid, but you say you're skeptical. Why?
Well, indeed, we are skeptical. We don't want to, be, full of hope until this happens because, remember, Brother, we've been engaging the department for quite some time now. They've been making promises, and in some instances, these things would not materialize. For instance, for us to be where we are now, the department was not even aware of the number of nurses that were not paid. I mean, initially, we had about, 727 nurses that were not paid, and the department did not have all the numbers. So you find that there's different things happening at different levels in the Department of Health. So there's no correlation in terms of how things happen in the Department of Health.
So even their payroll record keeping is not up to scratch from what you're saying. It seems like that.
It's very poor because we are where we are now, because on the 29th, after we had agreed with them on the 7th of June that they will pay all outstanding salaries by the 30th of June, on the 29th of June, they called us to a meeting where they were trying to explain to us why they are unable to pay all the nurses. And part of the reasons they cited was that they could not collect all the information they needed from these nurses in order to process their payments. So that tells you that you cannot pin all your hopes on this department, because if they failed to collect that information between the 7th of June until the 29th, so that tells you we've got people who are not taking seriously the plight of nurses in this province.
In terms of monies or salaries that are being paid, is this the only issue you have currently as Denosa with the Department of Health here in Gauteng?
Well, we've got many issues. We still have PMDS that is outstanding, which has not been paid, which is the Performance Management Development System payments for those nurses that have performed well in the, in the last financial year.
It's like a bonus type.
Yes. We also, other provinces had paid what we call uniform allowance to their nurses. Gauteng Health was only paying now on the 30th of June. And that is also after we have been applying pressure to them to say, what's taking you so long to just, implement a collectively agreed resolutions that was agreed about a long time ago.
So there are a number of issues, not just salaries, also in terms of allowances and performance bonuses. But I also hear that there could be some looming retrenchments that you as Denosa have been warning about, and you're saying that you're going to continue your action against that. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. In fact, in December 2021, the department issued WhatsApp messages where they were retrenching those who were finishing off their community service. We then intervened. Those nurses, 810 of them, were recalled back into service in January, only to get letters informing them that because we did not fire you through the correct channels, we send you WhatsApp messages. We are recalling you only to give you a 30 days notice that you must vacate the positions that you are holding. We then intervened, engaged the Premier, which we agreed that we can't afford to retrench nurses that were trained by the very same government, using taxpayers' money. Those nurses were kept onto the system. Now, the looming retrenchments that we're warning about is the 727 nurses who have just begun their community service this year. We know that come January, they will be telling them that they must move over from those positions. They will be retrenching them. So hence, we're starting now to challenge the department. We want a firm commitment from the department to say, here is funding training, we are going to employ these nurses, because part of what we also did as part of interventions, there was a task team that was assembled, composed of Denosa and the Department of Health, which audited the system of the Department of Health to check for vacant funded posts. And that report indicates to us that between September last year and December, there were vacant funded posts in the system. And the department was in a better position to could have employed the nurses that they were trying to retrench.
So you wanted them to be employed permanently?
Yes, because but then we continue to experience nurse shortages in the system. But over and above that, part of the response plan to the nurse shortages is to train nurses and then put them into the system. So the question we have, why are we wasting taxpayers' money training young nurses, and when they are fully qualified, we don't want to employ them?
Do you ask that question, and what does the department say?
The department will tell us about structural challenges that have been there for the past 5 years. To us, it's poor planning on the part of the department, because even now, just this week, there's an advert that came out to say those who are interested in doing nursing, they must apply to the nursing colleges that are run by government in this province. But why are you calling for people to apply to do nursing when you know that after 4 years you are not going to employ them? Because the department must start planning as and when those people are doing their first year, knowing that after 4 years we'll have this number of nurses that will be qualifying in our colleges and we must employ. Same as the police. When the police recruit, they know that after the training they've got so many police recruits that they have that they must put into the system. So the Department of Health lacks proper planning, and we will continue to hold it accountable, because we believe that South Africans deserve a better healthcare system, and if we don't fight and advocate for them, then the victims here will not be the ministers or the MECs. It will be the ordinary South Africans that are going to suffer from this thing. Yes.
So what are you going to do now? You've said that you are currently, your action plan is to wait and see if your skepticism will be addressed, so to speak, with the salaries for the 68 nurses. That's outstanding. Secondly, you are warning against possible retrenchments in January 2023, judging by what happened last year in terms of the new trainees. So what are you going to be doing next?
Well, we're continuing with our planned action for the 20th of July. We'll be handing in a memorandum to Gauteng Treasury. We'll be handing in a memorandum to the Premier of the province as well as the Department of Health to say Gauteng Treasury also must take responsibility for this, because we have, in terms of the compensation of employees' budget in Gauteng Health, it has been cut by 4 billion. Now, you cannot say you are building a resilient healthcare system when you continue with budget cuts, which those budget cuts are contradicting the National Development Plan of the government. So the Premier as well must take accountability as the head of government to say what type of a healthcare system does he want in this province.
Okay, 20th July, you're handing over a memorandum. Just a final question, and be very brief. Is it going to be accompanied by a demonstration, by protest action, or not, of the nurses on the 20th of July?
Well, the nurses will be coming out on the 20th of July, because part of this demonstration is to reclaim the dignity of nurses in this province, and for government to understand that they must take nurses very seriously in this province, because these nurses are the ones that are actually helping government to have what you call a healthcare system. Without them, the healthcare system, as far as we're concerned, would have long collapsed.
Thank you very much for your time here in the studio. Simphiwe Gada, he's of course the Gauteng Provincial Chairperson of Denosa, just sharing with us some of their frustrations currently and their planned actions. You better diarize the 20th of July in the healthcare system, in Gauteng at least. There's definitely going to be a nursing protest action in the form of a demonstration and the handing over of memorandum of demands. They want their dignity to be restored. Still,